Green Lantern War Journal issue 2, Philip Kennedy Johnson writing with Mantos on the art. So, loved issue 1 of this. Really, really liked it. Was excited for issue 2, and I think this was a great follow-up. It took the story forward, took forward both the horror villain side of things with the spread of the demons, or the zombies, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, the Revenant Dead.
The Revenant Dead. Thank you.
With the Revenant Queen. I'm always going to get those confused, because I was calling her the Radiant Queen, talking about this with someone at the shop. So,
is it the Radiant?
Yes.
So it's the Radiant Dead and the Revenant Queen.
Yes.
Okay.
Got that.
Right. So it's actually that Green Lantern that John beat back last issue,
Yep.
who goes looking for this crashed, space station. And they're just he's a total chump. He's talking about how much he hates John Stewart, how much he's going to make him look bad. It does that classic horror story thing of making someone a total asshole so that you enjoy when they're the victim of the monster in a minute.
Yep. It's a Friday the 13th thing, right? Where the big dumb jock is a big dumb jock. You're like, oh, I can't wait for an axe to be introduced to him.
Absolutely.
And here we go.
So they investigate the crashed ship, and the Revenant Queen infects these 3 Green Lanterns and turns them into the undead. So that's your big tease at the start, and then we go to the John Stewart stuff, and I'm loving how much the John Stewart stuff in this book so far has been very personal. It's been very much him looking after his mother, and in this issue, he brings his mother to his job interview, which is not a normal thing to do, but he does it because it's an impressive place to go. It's Steelworks.
Steelworks.
He's been called in by Steel, and Jay Nakamura, who's apparently working at Steelworks just now as well.
I love the sense of continuity this has across DC. Just the fact that Steelworks is a thing. It's a place to go to work, right?
Do you know what I like about it, Matt? Is I think Steelworks doesn't surprise me because Johnson's been doing action and Steelworks has been in that. The fact that Jay's was actually from Taylor's Superman book, and he's still including him, I think that feels really good. That feels nice.
And the fact that he feels like, even though he was kind of a lowest type where he was working at the Truth and this other. However, now that part of his story's done, it makes sense he would go work for John Henry Irons. I almost said Stewart there, but no. They're both named John. That's kind of annoying a little bit here. But yeah, he goes to work for Steel there. And he's just there. They don't make a big deal about it, But it's just nice that he's in there, and it makes John Stewart feel like he is part of the DC universe. Yeah, he's not off on his own because for the last couple years, I felt like John was in deep space doing his, that type of stuff.
Yeah. So this issue is it's Steel showing him around, and it gives him an example of this fancy new train they're working on that will be efficient, and John immediately jumps in and sort of makes some suggestions to make it more efficient, and it's like, hey, see, this is why you should work here, and he's basically offered the job. And it's on the way home on the train going outside of Metropolis, which, by the way, I think from an art perspective, this is my favorite page of the whole book. Because between the first panel, which is the train with the city in the background, and you can see the Daily Planet building and the Supercorp building, and then on the train, there's the great panel at the bottom where it's from outside the window looking in at John and his mum, but it's the reflection of the city as they're saying how much because she used to live in Metropolis before Superman, and it wasn't that nice, but now it's much better. It's a really dreamlike panel because of the perspective, and I just think it looks really good. I think that whole page just really paints this great picture.
Well, and I like the idea too of the idea that she was big in the civil rights movement because Steele mentions that, and so it kind of course this is who John Stewart was going to become, because look who his mom was. So it plays with that sense of legacy, but not in the superhero way.
Which makes it more sad as well that she's forgetting things. It's it's like, hey, she was this great person who did all these things, and now she's struggling and doesn't realize she's struggling even. So it adds a bit more sting to that as well. I don't know, I was getting such a Tomorrowland vibe as they were leaving the city. It just felt so futuristic. It felt like the city of tomorrow in a way that they always say that, but I wouldn't say the art actually makes me feel like that usually. But
no, and just you got when the train's pulling away, right, and you got the Supercorp building with the Daily Planet too. It just gives it this sense of a concrete and glass jungle kind of vibe,
Yeah.
So,
but not in a gloomy way, Gotham is this no, urban hellhole. But they talk about taking the job, and John's like, "Hey, I'll take the job if you're cool with moving to Metropolis." And she's like, "No, I don't need to hold you back. I don't need to move, but you can just come here on your own." And they're kind of, she's like, "No, you're going to go do this because this is a good, bright future for you. They want you. You're going to do great things here." And he's like, "I'm not coming here if you're not coming with me." And they don't get to finish their argument because the train's attacked, of course, by these 3 Green Lanterns are now the
Radiant Dead.
Thank you. I was going to say Revenant Dead. Radiant Dead. So, but now that they've been possessed properly, they're like, "Hey, no, like we serve our mistress, and she's like the all-being. She's made us more powerful and all that." And does mention, or there's at least like an implication in some of the dialogue that is kind of hinting to the fact that this is a threat from another Earth with another John Stewart and all the rest of it. It seems like maybe she wants John's power as well as like taking him out of the picture so he can't stop her, kind of thing. So, but no, this is all fun stuff where he's trying to protect the people on this train. So it feels like a big action scene that has a lot of context because we know why they're on the train. Because the mum's there, it feels like there's like a civilian that we care about who's in harm's way. It's one thing to have a group of just random people who are innocent. It's another thing to have someone who's vulnerable who we know and now care about. So the mum being there adds a lot of weight to the stakes of the scene. So John's fighting these guys. They've got like these purple light tentacles that come out. It's kind of their power now. And the big ending of this is that the main Green Lantern here stabs John with a blade and then says, "That's it, you've been infected, you're going to become one of us now." So that's the cliffhanger that it ends on. Obviously, I suspect that John's somehow going to fight this off. Yeah. But we'll see how that goes.
Evil Dead style, he's going to cut his arm off. And he's going to have a construct arm. And it might be a chainsaw, might not. I don't know.
I feel like he's going to do a U-turn, go back to Steelworks and say, "If you got like a medical lab somewhere, fix me, please."
Yeah. But hey, let us have our, John Stewart Ash moment. I think in a space zombie story, I think we've earned it.
I think this book is doing such a great job of having fun with the horror of the enemy, of the villain, right? And this idea of the Radiant Dead and the villain from another universe. But even more so, I think it's done a great job of humanizing John and this whole thing with his mom and getting a job where he's using his education and his like natural skills as opposed to his Green Lantern gifts. I think it's done a great job of making him a very relatable character who you want to root for. And I think this is something that John Stewart's probably been missing for a long time because he's been stuck in these Space Wars books for a long time. And
kind of is like he's been a lead, but he only can be defined by the story that they're telling. There hasn't been time to really get to know John outside of the Zhan-Shi thing, which I'm glad we're not. I'm sure it'll pop up, right? I'm sure him having to look death in the face, he's going to have to, but it's not his soul defining quality.
I feel like they're developing his character and, whatever outcome happens with his mum, I can see his mum dying by the end of this run and that's going to hit hard. And I think them doing all this to build up more mythology around him that's not just that one thing they always mention is a great idea.
Yeah. And I want to know if Phillip Kennedy Johnson's okay because he's very good at making monsters, right? between the Radiant Dead and the Unmade, we got some ghastly creatures coming out of this guy's brain. So I just want to make sure he's okay. That's all.
Yeah, no, love it, and the art is phenomenal. I mentioned that one page with the train leaving the city, but I think Montos, who I never really knew before the first issue, is so great at the character expressions between the loving looks between him and his mother, the friendly pride between him and Steel, and then at the end, this shocked look in his face as he's sort of like considering what this evil Green Lantern's telling him that he's going to, he's going to turn into some kind of zombie or something. He doesn't have the context yet, but he's starting to learn and. He's looking at the stab wound and be like, "Oh yeah, something weird's happening here." So all very good stuff.
You were talking about the expressions, and the one that gets me is when they're on the train, and she caresses his face, the mom, and says, "My beautiful boy," and he just has this big goofy smile, right? But it hits because of the context of the scene.
Absolutely,
he's with his mom. She's not having any of her episodes. She's proud of him. He's getting a winning moment. So it's, the shine before the fall. Montos's art just sells it. And his Radiant Dead look properly scary when they first come down, right? There's the single panel of all of them coming through. And the one that, we'd seen his face before, but now it's half a skull. and stuff.
In fact, one of the things they set up at the start of the issue is they remind us that Sector 28414 is off limits.
Yep.
And they're actually breaking the rules again, and the other two are complaining about it, and he's like, "Nah, it's fine." Because even when he's getting grabbed by the Revenant Queen, he's like, "No, I'm like the next in line to rule this planet." Like he thinks himself as royalty. He thinks he's too important to die. So it's like extra enjoyable that he gets taken because he is very unlikable intentionally.
Well, and apparently he's a Durlan, which makes him a shapeshifter too. So it's even insult to injury that she was able to take him out just, without him being able to do what he does. But yeah, I think that also goes with the long history of Durlans being jerks. So
yeah,
Changeling is the one good one.
And just the other thing in the art as well. We talked about obviously the actual line work of the faces and stuff and how expressive it is. But I'm just looking at the last page, and just the choice of panels here is very effective and interesting. You've got like a close-up panel where the blade's popping out of the panel, and then the bigger panel that's in, which is the stab itself, and then the bottom of the page is when John's realizing that something's not quite right. He's actually completely outside the panel that's drawn for him. Like, there's like a box like behind him that he's completely out of on every front. It's not like, because usually they'll stick out the panel and what, like the panel at the top with the blade, it's only the tip of the blade that's coming out of the panel. Like the other sides of the box are still containing the image. At the bottom, he's just standing in front of the panel. It's almost like he's outside his comfort zone. He's outside his box, if you will. And it's just adding to that effect.
Right.
Like it's really smart.
It's the same color as the Radiant Dead coloring, right? And it's almost like it's oppressing him, right?
Yeah, the purple, yeah.
So all very, very good stuff. Like this, who would have thought Phillip Kennedy Johnson on Green Lantern would be a match? Especially Jon Stewart, And it's a very grounded story.
After Warworld Saga, I think we all did.
Well, yeah, I was saying that mostly with sarcasm.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure, yeah.
But yeah, no, just this book that, it's Jon Stewart who... he is a very important Green Lantern, but they haven't treated him like that for a while. We were talking about that earlier. And this is it's giving him that importance that's been missing. And and I'm still trying to figure out why 2814 is quarantined. So I'm hoping, I know he had said when Phillip Kennedy Johnson had said this is going to be the next chapter in his DC story, right? When he's done with action in January. So I'm wondering if he's going to get back to the United Planet stuff and why it's quarantined. And
I suspect, if anything, I think it might be a corruption thing. It might be like someone with a political motivations putting that into place.
Because in the tweet that he had announced this stuff, he had said, these little things that had happened at the end of Warworld, he is getting back to. He has not forgotten about them, and DC is going to let him address them. But it's all in due time. So... I'm wondering if this is part of that, right? Part of the whole corruption of the United Planets and the whole Warworld fallout with Mongol and stuff. So, but this is a very worthy follow-up to his Warworld stuff. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm enjoying the Green Lantern book, but, this might be giving it a run for its money as to which one's the better Lantern book. So, anyway, what are you rating Green Lantern War Journal issue 2?
I'm giving this a 9.5.
Whoa!
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I'm going that. I think I'm going to go straight 9, but it's excellent. I really like this.